So council, we'll call it back to order. I hope you had a good lunch. We'll start the afternoon session. Madam Secretary, please take roll.
Bryce Woods.
Oh.
Steve Moran.
Oh.
Ted Knife Jr. Absent. John Kessler.
Here.
Kenrick DePreez. Sharon Lee.
Here.
Mary Miller. Here. Kelsey Haskell.
Here.
Thad Rose.
Here.
Derek Bartlett.
Here.
Francine Hall. Here. Joe Brinksplenny. Excused. Bob Walters. Tuffy Thompson. Here. Dean DePreez. Here. Thank you.
Council, we have district minutes yet, but wanted to put the resolution before you, so you had a chance to look at it. And the Attorney General's here. If you like, we can. I don't know if we need to vote on this or present. We could bring the Attorney General up, and she can read it into record, and you can make any changes that you want on there. Council. So I'll give the floor to the Attorney General at this time.
Good afternoon, Council. Thank you very much for having me here. So I will start with the second whereas, and forgive my pronunciation if I get any of these words incorrect. Whereas the Cheyenne River Sioux Reservation, the present land base, the present land base, which is now the homelands of the Cheyenne River Sioux tribe and is comprised of the Minikoju, Sihasapa, how do you say that next word? Pardon me?
Ohenupa.
Ohenupa, Itazipko.
Tazicho.
Okay, I'm gonna have to learn to say those words. And whereas the Cheyenne River Sioux tribe are the descendants of those four bands who were the original treaty signers to the 1851-1868 Treaty of Fort Laramie, and whereas the Cheyenne River Sioux tribe is a federally recognized tribe that has had a government-to-government relationship with the United States even prior to the treaties, and whereas on February 22nd, 1989, the state of South Dakota was given permission to enter the Union as a state with passage of a congressional act that provided, among other things, that, quote, and this is from the Enabling Act, the people of said states, first, that perfect toleration of religious sentiment shall be secured, and that no inhabitant of said state shall ever be molested in person or property on account of his or her mode of religious worship. And second, that the people inhabiting said proposed states do agree and declare that they forever disclaim all right and title to the unappropriated public lands lying within the boundaries thereof, and to all lands lying within said limits owned or held by any Indian or Indian tribes, and that until the title thereto shall have been extinguished by the United States, the same shall be and remain subject to the disposition of the United States, and said Indian land shall remain under the absolute jurisdiction and control of the United States. And whereas the governor of South Dakota, Kristi Noem, has recently made a series of negative and accusatory statements that are defamatory to the Native people and tribal leaders of the Oceti-Sakowin, including the Cheyenne River Sioux tribe. And whereas the governor has called for the federal government to audit the tribes and has stated tribal leaders are benefiting from drug cartels at the expense of their citizens. And whereas these statements are intended to bring attention to the governor at the expense of Native people and are extremely harmful to our tribal citizens and our tribal government, now, therefore be it resolved that the Cheyenne River Sioux Tribal Council does hereby ban Governor Kristi Noem from the Cheyenne River Sioux Tribes Reservation. And then it was a disclaimer.
Okay, we got a motion by Mr. Walters, second by Mrs. Hall. Comments or questions? Mr. Underwoods, go ahead.
Yeah, I had a couple elders that read all that media and read those letters and stuff, and they're saying that Chairman Stark comes out, we're saying that same thing about what's happening in Pine Ridge. That's happening in every community and city in this country. Same thing with the meth and alcohol problems, the violence, children and elders. You hear me saying that all the time. They shouldn't be going to bed scared or hungry. Nobody should. And I don't know. I think when they add this, that the treaty signers at 5168, I don't know. This IRA government doesn't recognize the treaties. Don't even take an oath to the treaties. 89 Act stole land. It's illegal, but that's what they're using. So the Tituan out there has say on treaty lands through their constitution. So 1889 Act, this POW camp was made, and the governor, and that 1861, the Organic Act created these states. So when that 51 was, the land-based treaty was supposed to go to 1901. Instead, there's only 10 years. They voted on this, like 25 years, 15 years, 10 years. So it went to 1861. So when they made that organic law, they created these states for statehood. 89, 87, and 89 is how they did it. All illegal acts. So I was thinking what she was saying about her concern over the co-management. Mm-hmm. And then your comments too, Chairman, on indigenous ecological knowledge and all that. And the land belongs to us in the 51 treaty, land-based treaty. We have to act like that. But to me, these South Dakota and Wyoming, they passed legislation recognizing the 68 treaty back in 2018. And that was commemorating 150 years of a broken treaty. That treaty is broken. They stole land and never got 3/4 male consent. Never. So actually it's null and void. So the 51 stands. That's the primary concern, over that land. But you got, I heard Oglala talk and Shichongu and Lower Blue. And to me, when I listened to those comments and read those letters and stuff, I'm not sure, Chairman, about, banning. I like to refer this back to the districts and let the people see what the people say about this. And have the facts, too. Because I know Oglala banned her for, I forgot what it was. But they banned her a while ago, and they were asking for her, To me, if she was there, they should have talked about these roadblocks, man, coming into the reservation. If she's concerned about the meth and the cartel, then, set up roadblocks at these entranceways and do saturation points. 89 Act, but it's still 51 treaty territory, ours. So there's two coins here, Chairman. There's two coins, man, so. Yeah, they could, whatever, I know that
They are.
there's a big political thing going on now, and we're pushing for January 20th to talk to the next president. Who's willing to do that? Who's ready to do that? You got to know your stuff, man. How many of you do? Can you go before the next president on January 20th and lay out what I'm saying, which is the truth? So, if we want to deal with this mess that's going on right now and with young guys packing here in town, you know, I mentioned this at Law and Order Committee, man. Our young people, I mentioned this at that chairman's meeting too. Our young people don't have to be living like this, man. And our elders, and la la's and no cheese, they shouldn't be living in fear. And these young guys are really doing packing pieces. So if we're gonna not do saturation points and deal with the problem, I'm kind of disappointed in the Law and Order Committee. I'm kind of, you know, with Mr. Bringplenty's situation too, but, you know, he's the law owner chairman, he's not here. Who's the vice chairman? Kenrick. But that discussion there was something that the chief said that was, I didn't like that answer. I mean, I didn't, you know, and I made it known. You know, we got to be doing more out there. I agree with her on that, on stopping the cartel. Because I mentioned at that meeting too, up in Wyoming, I'm up in Montana, there was a shooting. They shot up a house, but they shot a grandma's house up. The house they were supposed to shoot up was a program director working with the cartel bringing meth in. That was the house that was a warning, you know, but they shot up the wrong house. So that is a real and clear and present danger right here too, what's happening in town. And with this increase in these monies coming in to hands and pockets, there's no stipulation. You can't buy firearms or meth. There should have been some stipulation, because when we got that report from the FBI and the BIA and South Dakota Attorney General, the Federal Attorney General at the Journey Museum a couple of years ago, they were reporting there after these CARES money went out, there was like 2,000 firearms taken off the street with meth. And we had several young people get buried, man. Some relatives getting shot and killed. And if we don't do something to help our people out, the young men and women and older ones that are doing this devil's poison, I like how Derek says that, you know, the devil's poison. That's what it is. It's creating a negative force to enter even into homes. I'd say demonic forces, meth and alcohol, clear and present. So if this governor wants to do something about the cartel, then the people here should be fully informed, well-informed consent from our people. And if they agree that, hey, her all intentions are bad, but after I read what Frank was nodding his head too when I was mentioning what I'm mentioning now is, you know, that's going on in Pine Ridge. That's what she was using, what he testified at Indian Affairs. So we got to get the facts straight. I know we're just, let's ban this governor, but I think this is what elders were telling me. And I'm just repeating what they're saying because they read the stuff. They went through all of that like we should be doing. I did. So I kind of, you know, what are we gonna do? You know, are we gonna deal with this problem? And she said something like South Dakota has the resources. But then another chairman, Renville from Sisseton, said that she turned back a lot of money, man, millions of dollars, you know. She turned back in, so there's pros and cons to it all, you know, but I like to see this referred back to the districts and get some input from our people on this. Because that's my main concern, Chairman. I'll let you know and I'll let council know. We need to bring in the court and law enforcement detention here and see what we're doing with our people. We're putting in social detox. I heard they just get to read the Bible, you know, like a motel room or something, you know. There's always a Bible in one of those drawers, but that's we're Lakota speaking, and we have Wazilia, and you burn sweetgrass and sage and cedar. That place needs it over there. Those young people need that. Because the stories I'm hearing is there's demonic forces that are bothering them while they're in detox or in jail. So there should be smudging going on. That's our way, and that Bible is good. It talks about, Satan and the devil, Revelations, to prepare your spirit, meet Jesus. Well, in our language, it's almost the same, man. We're going to take that spirit journey, but I'm hoping we can hear from them too, Chairman. Like my request to you is bring them bring the court or law enforcement. Let's sit down and see what the situation is. And law and order needs to kind of step up now, the committee, and we need to address this. Even saturation points. If she's really says she's got some resources, then they should be doing some, coming into the reservation, they should be checking these vehicles out. We'll find out there's beer coming in, bootleggers, we'll find that out. But if those guys are bringing meth in, then some of those cartel guys, they're not good people, man. They're gonna shoot it out to their death because they don't want to go to prison again. So that's the element that's happening. That they're all over. So it is a clear and present danger, and I agree with her on that. We're not addressing it here. We have alcohol saturation points during the prayer. I asked the chief, how come we're not doing that?
We can bring Councilman, we can bring the chief in on Friday. If you have questions for him and
then the detective
take your issues
and
up.
the judges,
Or just bring the chief to start with.
and the detention. Bring them all in, man.
Well, the chief is over the detention, so
If the policy's there, because I gave that
we
Wazilia
can
to
bring in
the
Mr.
chief.
Dupree's as well, but the chief is Tancha.
I went up there and I gave him that, the Wazilia, and then when I called, they won't let her smudge. So I text that to Joe right away. Or that's what they told me to do. So I'm not trying to go in there and say, do this, do that, man. I'm
Just say, do you know who I am?
I almost said that, man. Because it's pretty serious for me. Because my relatives are affected by this demon poison, man. That's taking souls. And it's creating bad stuff here in town. So we need to deal with it, man.
The chief said, I just texted him, he said the cartel's not here, but drugs are, so.
We got our own cooking it on tribal land.
Who is
We
it?
got deaths of overdose by bad batches. We're not even talking about that. How come? Years later we hear about it.
Okay, well, let's,
So I'd like to
Let's see if
revert
there's
this
any other
back to the
councilors.
districts. I know you got a motion in a second, but
Yeah,
I'm saying
you
let's
can
get
take it
our
there.
people informed about this.
you can take it there for your district. Okay, any other comments? Mrs. Hall, go ahead.
Just one. I don't know if you remember a few years back when South Dakota was putting out some public information through their health department. And Christy Noem, through the governor's office, wanted to put out her, she had a hand in it. And they were putting out information about meth. And she puts meth were on it.
Yeah.
So that's her answer.
Mr. Rose, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to point out after our discussion on this matter yesterday, there was a Facebook post that was sent to me about Governor Noem saying that perhaps the tribe should ban cartels, and I really want to say that it kind of shows how misinformed they are on our tribal law here, because this tribe has already had a law banishing convicted drug dealers with methamphetamine for a while. And for how long? 10 years? And I would assume that there's somebody listening right now that will report this conversation back to the governor later.
Okay.
But
I'm gonna put
I
in
would just really
solder,
like
too.
them to take this message and understand that tribal law is real, this action is real, and that our actions to protect our members here based on drugs, cartels, and stuff are equal to or greater than the actions that is going on outside of here. So we as leaders really do care about our people, no matter what she said and relations with accusations that she's made on this matter. But it's important to be versed in law. Thank you.
Any other comments, council members? Mr. Underwoods again.
Chairman, on that audit, are you clear on what she said about this audit? They're gonna audit, they wanna audit on the law enforcement 638 contract? To see if it's sufficient enough, you know, the 1.6 million that goes to detention and 1 million that goes to detox, law enforcement and detox, detention. The 2.6 million, it's not enough, but we got about 24 officers. So is that what she once audited? And then she's saying that she could help push for more monies with this audit? Is that what she said?
She's trying to get tribes in trouble financially with the federal government. That's what she's trying to do. She mentions that in her press release. Oglala specifically mentioned what funds, because she's listening to these council meetings, and that's where she got that information. So that's what she's trying to do.
They have theirs open, you know, to the public. And these concerns are real, and if we're not, this body can't address poverty. Now it appears we can't deal with meth here in Eagle Butte and Dupree and wherever else. We can't deal with it. Why? So
Okay. I got,
where are we at on this? You know, if the audit, the OMB was here. The OMB was here.
on Friday, we're having that. Treasurer's going to include that in his report.
Yeah, I wish he'd bring all of them in so we can talk to them, man.
Yeah,
You know,
he's bringing them in.
kind of your job, you know. We make a request, even with the bureau, to come over, and you guys don't even allow that, you know. And
We banished the bureau.
I know you guys are probably scared.
At the
Hey,
time.
it's me. I think we need to take them all over and be like a CPA about it, man. A CEO, CPA, running the hospital and, you know, education and the bureau. That type of caliber running these outfits, man. CPA, CEOs, they could hopefully build some endowments up, like what we learned from Eastern Cherokee. There's a guy named Hia, and he's willing to share with us about how their CPA, their CEOs running their tribal health. And they let him run it, and now he's got a $75 million endowment, man. So I want the council to hear that, Chairman, you know, that all from when they invited us to their town hall. We were the last ones there, as usual, and we got to talk to them real good. So I mentioned Francine was our tribal health chair, and that we wanted to share that. So if we really do look at running these outfits like that, then that's the kind of caliber people we need in there, CPA, CEO, so they know how to bring in this money. And we're kind of sending money back, you know, just like Noam. She sent money back. A lot of our people needed help out there. So that's another question on, when they asked the chairman, are you guys gonna come up with a statement? So everybody made copies up there, and I'd like to see that statement because there was some powerful things said in there. And Renville kind of hit some things on the head from Sisseton. I hope those kind of comments are in there because I think maybe if we take it to our people, a lot of them are gonna want to ban, and some of them say, I don't know what's going on. And the majority of them are gonna be saying, I don't know what's going on. But that's just my opinion. I think that I like to see this, you know, if we ban her, then she won't be able to come on here. And that's gonna be our position as council. But then we don't have no district backing, you know, that we should have, the district supporting it. Or leave them, you know, I don't know how you want to do that, but I think our people have a right to know and get that. We used to do surveys, even on the gaming, you know, they did a vote too for the gaming. And it actually won that we should get a casino, but the 881 that came in opposed to it outdid the 981 that were for it.
Let's stay on topic, Councilman.
I'm just sharing
Next.
things that happen to inform our people, and you should be doing this. You know, I'm just asking. I should be demanding, but you don't like when I demand, you know, because I demand for the people. I don't demand for Bryce Inowitz, man. And these elders are the ones that made me look at some, and after I read all that stuff, you know, the only part that I kind of don't agree with her that she needs to understand is this co-management and who owns the land. That needs to be told to her. You know, you made that comment on, those are good comments you made too, you know, right after. You was actually made the news. Those are pretty powerful comments.
This ain't about me either. It's about all of us.
Yeah.
So this is about our council, about
It's all
our
about
people.
us here.
She made comments about our children, about our parents, about our schools, about our tribal leaders being in it with the cartel. So those are all lies. You know, that's a lot of lying on her part, and she has no remorse or no ability to apologize or correct herself. So I got Mr. Thompson.
Just one more last thing up here on Standing Rock on KLND. Ms. Young was talking, and they're bringing up these contracts, man, on the land. You know, they're illegal, and they're on the radio saying that, and they're both in North Dakota and South Dakota. And they're on KLND talking like that right now, man. We should be on the radio too. You know, our people need to hear these things. Both pros and cons and all of it, man. They need to hear it. But we need the facts, you know. And to me, you know, I like to hear it from the districts, you know. And then we're going to take this back. It's already passed, but what do you guys think? You know, well, yeah, we've got no other choice. You know, you guys already done the job. You didn't allow us to, you know, bring our comments in. So that's the way it goes, I guess. But I just think that our people need to be really informed on exactly what I put on a record when I started talking.
That's why you were elected, represent the people. Mr. Thompson, go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman. Just a couple quick comments. First request is, you gonna hand deliver this to her? You and the Sarge drive down there?
Yeah.
That was just a little joke, but you know, back in 2020, we proved not only to the state of South Dakota, but we proved to the federal government that we can do what we want on a reservation. We have our sovereignty, and I commend the past administration for standing up to her. And that was a black eye for the state of South Dakota, you know, and I'm thankful for that administration, Chairman Frazier and his staff and this council for taking a stand, for believing in what we thought was right by protecting our people. And she's still mad about that. So in the late, Nikki Ducheneau worked hard on that, and we stood up for our tribe and our people, and Mrs. Nome don't like that. So that's why she's acting the way she is. So I'm ready to vote, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Mrs. Hall.
In regards to You know, at the committee level, we attend our committee meetings and we get the people's business done at those committee meetings. And at the Law and Order meeting, we listen to the Chief of Police, Red Crow, and they are working on this. They're aware of what's here, what's coming in. We have fentanyl now, and they are working. You know, they give us those reports and the statistics and so forth. They share that with us. And we're also, as a committee, we took action to do some public service announcements and, you know, to have the tribal prosecutor, Keckler, work on that. But also, you know, it's going to take more than, you know, it's going to take a team of people to combat this. And so it's not like we're not doing anything. We are, you know. And so I want to correct that. Also, this just dropped. It came on my phone. It's from Kelloland, Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Governor Kristi Noem has allegedly been banned from another reservation after her recent remarks. On Tuesday, the Cheyenne River Sioux Tribal Council voted unanimously to forbid the South Dakota governor from traveling to the reservation and stepping foot onto their land. The motion to ban Noem was voted on during a meeting on Tuesday, April 2nd. The tribe says Governor Noem showed up uninvited to a meeting the previous week. Due to that, and what tribal council members say are false allegations and lies made by Noem regarding tribal leadership, the council voted to ban her from the reservation. The Cheyenne River Sioux tribe is the second tribe to ban Noem this year. Those remarks that she's making are aimed at us to get her so she can have a national profile in the hopes of becoming, you know, Trump's vice presidential candidate. And her remarks are incendiary, and they're very racist, and they're aimed at that MAGA crew that in South Dakota so that they will feel comfortable with their racism. That's the purpose. Those are the purposes. So we need to keep that in mind.
Madam Secretary?
Chairman, there's a typo on that banishment. Madam Secretary, it says April 27th. Approved of a motion by resolution to banish Kristi Noem. That's March, right? Do you need action to correct that, or? Chloe just sent it to everybody. It has April 27th on it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we'll get the typo corrected, and also on the resolution, the AG is going to add sovereign, and she's also going to add, correct that, it says 19, it should say 18.
You'll send the corrected one?
Somebody still has to talk to these guys on January 20th.
Madam Secretary?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, go ahead.
Mrs. Whiteball would also like me to reference that in the paragraph regarding when the state of South Dakota became a state, to refer to the Enabling Act, which is what it is called, that made them a state, the Enabling Act. It split up North and South Dakota, and it also made Washington and Montana states as well. So I'll just add that Enabling Act. And I can send it to anybody that would like to read the Enabling Act.
Yeah, I thought it was the 1889, Mr. Chairman, Statehood Act, but it's the Enabling Act.
Kessler?
Thank you, Chairman, for allowing me to comment. I don't want to take away from the resolution that's here, but I this is a real pressing issue, and my colleague, Representative Inowoods, and I are feeling the same way about the drug epidemic that we find ourselves in. And it has nothing to do with the statement made by the governor of South Dakota. It has more that we've been talking about this here, trying to find ways to work toward a remedy because it's so serious and it doesn't seem like anything's slowing it down. And of course, we all know that these drugs ain't being flown in here. They're coming across the state, her state. So she has a definite role to play in stopping that before it gets to our borders, which isn't happening. We're doing what we can on our side. I think the whole world's been affected by this drug as we know it. All our major cities, urban, rural, I mean, we're way out here and we're seeing it. We just really need to come together and find a way to do this. You know, we got a ARPA payment coming out here in the next week or so. And I'm afraid that there's going to be a lot of activity, and I've seen it myself now starting to build up. I ain't saying it's this one or that one. I'm saying we need to do something about organized crime or unorganized crime. We don't have to name them as such, but something has to be done. And I think there's going to come a time that we're going to have to work together with somebody to prevent this. So. But I just wanted to say that when me and my colleague are feeling the same way about something, it's got something there. So I am in favor of. I felt saddened when I read the statements that the governor made toward the tribes as an elected official of her prospective government. That's no way to speak to another government of any kind. Hopefully she realizes that someday and finds a little more tact in her words. But if not, we're still going to do what we need to do. So let's work together and make a difference, because once it comes and once they've been affected, I'm speaking of this personally, Mr. Chairman. This is a life-ruining drug. This isn't your alcohol or your marijuana or even your cocaine. This is something completely different. You got to keep it out of their hands, and that's the bottom line. So thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Kessler.
How come that language can't be used, what John just said?
Did you want me to put that in the resolution?
Okay, we'll just, if this passes, then we'll use this one. And then if that doesn't, then we can vote.
Bryce Inowoods,
Erosion it through, so I'm going to abstain.
Steve Moran,
Yes.
Ted Knight Jr.,
Yes.
John Kessler,
Yes.
Kenrick DePreez, Sharon Lee,
Yes.
Mary Miller,
Yes.
Kelsey Haskell,
Yes.
Thad Rose,
Yes.
Derek Bartlett, absent Francine Hall,
Yes.
Joe Brings Plenty, absent Bob Walters, Tuffy Thompson.
Yes.
Eleven yes, 0 no, 1 abstain, 2 absent, motion carries. Thank you, Tribal Council, taking some action to stand up for our people. Attorney General, did you have anything else for us at this time?
No, I don't, thank you. I will have a powwow contract tomorrow, though.
Right on. Maybe Mr. DePreez will bring his bustle. Both of you. Council, we go back to the district minutes, and I think District 5 said they had one more meeting. I don't think the secretary has those minutes still yet, Mr. Bartlett.
Yeah, Chairman, I got the copies. They're stamped in by the Secretary's office. You want me to read them into record?
what's the date on those?
These are District 5, March 26th, Tuesday.
March
And it
26th.
says received, Secretary's office stamp.
When did you get them to the office? Sounds like the council reps don't have copies of them yet.
Yeah, they're stamped in this morning by Secretary's office.
This morning, okay. Do you want to maybe have the secretaries make some copies for the council members, and then we can come back to them?
Yeah. Madam Secretary can get copies to the council.
Okay.
We didn't even get them.
You didn't get them? These are stamped in by your office.
I mean,
Says-
here, we were in council then.
Oh, is there anybody at your office?
They are.
Okay. Council needs copies.
We'll go on to we'll come back to District 5 and District 6. Ms. LeBeau, you had your hand up.
I mean, is it gonna be this week, or, because I won't be here if you guys are extending it after this week?
Whenever we get copies, we can come back to them. So later today, or you here on tomorrow? Yeah.
Mine is just in reference to getting a solid action on that exclusion. No referrals, just an action. That's what it is. So I went to my district this time to ask for that support, and that's what I'm waiting for. I don't have nothing to hide. But I would like to go and executive, because as I said, there is non-Indians that have access to what is being said here on our, in our recordings. So it has to do with stuff that I'd like that.
Chairman, motion to go into executive. I'd like to get the executive from Ms. LeBeau.
Hang on, I think District 6 is gonna have the floor, and then we can come back to Ms. LeBeau, and by that time, we should also have copies, because we got a Sergeant at Arms working on that.
Okay.
Mr. Thompson, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I'd like to correct my statement earlier. After going through my emails, District 6 did have a advertised meeting for February 18th, and I received it. With that being said, though, Mr. Chairman, District 6 had a meeting on February 18th, 2024. Sign-in sheet, and meeting was called to order at 1:25. Meeting was held at the Teoshpaidopa cafeteria. Mr. Chairman, what I will say is, as you read through the motions that are made, I don't know if all of you had time to look, but there's a few things wrong with them. Number one, there's a lot of personnel issues in there. You have a lot of some of these motions, our district chair is making and seconding some of the motions. Is that allowable, Madam Secretary?
Yes, thank you. Normally, the chairman, just like our tribal chairman here, does not make motions or seconds. So, thank you.
So, Mr. Chairman, with that being said, I guess I would, if it's okay with council, I guess I would like to take these back. I did not attend the meeting. But what I did say, I corrected what I said. It was advertised and it was posted. They did have a meeting. But I would like to take these actions back to my district and go over with them. And like, for instance, if you read through them, you know, like here's one right here motion was made to raise elderly checks to $2,000 a month. Well, do they know that would be about a $25 million annual deal, and our general fund budget is right at 17, 18. I mean, just things like that, you know. If you look on there, there's, they're wanting to allow, non-residents to vote in elections, just unconstitutional stuff, personnel issues. So what I would like to do though is make a motion to pay the chairman and the secretary, because it was a legal meeting, it was posted and advertised, and allow me to take them back. So I would make that motion to pay the chairman and secretary.
Okay, we got a motion by Mr. Thompson, second by Ms. Haskell, to compensate the officers, secretary, and chairman of the District 6. Madam Secretary, please call for the vote.
What are we voting on now? To pay the president and secretary?
Yeah.
They might have already been paid, but we'll double check. Bryce Underwoods,
Uh-huh.
Steve Moran,
Yes.
Tenai Junior,
Yes.
John Kessler,
Yes.
Kenrick DePreez, Sharon Lee,
Yes.
Mary Miller,
Yes.
Kelsey Haskell,
Yes.
Thad Rose,
Yes.
Derek Bartlett,
Yes.
Francine Hall, Joe Bringsplenny, absent Bob Walters, Tuffy Thompson.
Yes.
$13 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain, 1 absent, motion carries. Mr. Thompson?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, and also after reading through the motions, and I know it's coming up in June, and I would like to make just a motion to refer to Budget and Finance to see if they can help with our La Plante powwow in June. So I just make that motion to refer, and I'll have the powwow committee to present a budget to Budget and Finance.
Okay, we got a motion by Mr. Thompson, second by Ms. Lee, refer to the Budget Committee, the request for La Plante powwow coming up in June. Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, I don't think that's necessary. All they have to do is present the budget to the treasurer because the money's already set aside, Mr. Thompson. So you don't need any action on that anymore. They just have to have a community meeting. The powwow committee has to have a meeting and ask for a drawdown with their budget and present it. That's all the action you need.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will pull my motion and I will let them know that.
Motion's been pulled. Anything else for District 6?
No, Mr. Chairman, and like I said, if council would allow me, I'd like to take these minutes back, sit down with them, and just kind of go over them, the rules and the procedures, because,
Yeah.
you know,
It should say in the minutes, who called it to order.
yep. And
Things
like
like
I
that,
said,
yeah.
I'll go over that all with them, and I feel bad because it was a legal meeting, but if you guys have got a chance to read these, it didn't look like a very nice meeting, so.
How many are doable and how many aren't out of the 46? Is there some that are good to go?
The only one I see was the one for their powwow, but they wanted way more than what was allowed. $30,000 they want it for a powwow. And I mean, they're wanting to compact our dental and our, just a lot of personnel issues. They want to allow non-residents to vote in our tribal elections, which, you know, it's just, looked like it was quite the meeting, so. So I would just like to take the issues back, go over them, and explain how it's supposed to work. So if council would allow me to do that, I would do that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, District 6. Mr. Bartley, you want to do your minutes, or do you want to go into executive session, or give you the floor at this time for the District 5, finish District 5 minutes?
Chairman, we had a meeting, District 5 meeting at the CRT Motel on Tuesday, March 26th. We had a quorum present. The first motion is the in-house motion, Cindy Shad to pay, motion by Marlon Minor, second by Cindy to pay the Cheyenne Motel for last month's meeting at $50 an hour times 2, $100. So it's in-house motion. It should have been $25 an hour, Chairman. So that's a typo, but for the record, it's $25 an hour. The motel is charging to utilize the room here. So that's the in-house motion. There's a motion by Robin LeBeau, second by Joseph White-Eyes to have the tribe to continue to pay for the conference room due to the fact that they took our building. And that'll be my motion. That motion carried.
Okay, we got a motion by Mr. Bartlett. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Walters. Comments or questions on the motion? Madam Secretary, please call for the vote.
Bryce Cinderwoods,
Uh-huh.
Steve Moran,
Yes.
Ted Knife Jr., John Kessler,
Yes.
Kenrick DePreez, Sharon Lee,
Yes.
Mary Miller,
Yes.
Kelsey Haskell, Thad Rose,
Yes.
Derek Bartlett,
Yes.
Francine Hall, Joe Brinksplenning, absent Bob Walters, Tuffy Thompson.
Yes.
13 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain, 1 absent. Motion carries. Mr. Bartlett.
Okay, there's a motion by Robert LeBeau, seconded by Raven Thompson to have the 89-page court assessment to be published for the people. That motion did carry. That'll be my motion.
We got a motion by Mr. Bartlett. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Hall. Comments or questions? Council, I believe in the District 4 minutes, we said we would allow it to go through the process. It was not a secret meeting or nothing like that. It was a meeting to hear the report from the consultants. And then it goes to Law and Order Committee, and then when Law and Order Committee brings it to the council, then it's public. That's the normal process for our government regarding this this report. Any other comments, council members? We got a motion, a second. Madam Secretary, please call for the vote.
Bryce Cinderwoods,
Uh-huh.
Steve Moran,
Yes.
Ted Knife Jr., John Kessler,
Yes.
Kenrick DePreez, Sharon Lee,
Yes.
Mary Miller, Kelsey Haskell, Thad Rose,
Yes.
Derek Bartlett,
Yes.
Francine Hall, Joe Brinksplenning, absent Bob Walters, Tuffy Thompson.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, 13 yes, no, 0 no, 0 abstain, 1 absent. Motion carries. Mr. Bartlett.
Okay, there's a motion by Robert LeBeau, seconded by Andy Hybert to have the 477 program provide job training and to waive education requirements, high school diplomas, and GED for the youth employment program. That'll be my motion.
Motion by Mr. Bartlett. Is there a second? Second by Mrs. Hall. Comments or questions?
Chairman, the problem with this is that some people don't hold a high school diploma. Some people don't hold them diplomas, or it's hard for them to get a job or to apply or even get on board with this 477 program. So they're asking that they waive those requirements, education, high school and GED or any diplomas. So it gives our poorest of the poor opportunity to get on this program. That was the discussion.
Mrs. Lee?
Thank you, Chairman LeBeau. Isn't this part of the requirements in the 477 grant? That's why they got this money. And there is a good GED program at OLC. It's administered by Ria LeComte, and they've had a high success with people getting their GEDs over there, and it's free, so I would say that they should go see Ms. LeComte and take those courses and take the test, and they would have their GED, but we can't change the requirements that were put in place by Congress, so only Congress could change them, not the tribe. Thank you.
Mrs. Whiteball? Mr. Underwoods?
I mean, if that's in the regs requirements, if it's in the requirements for the grant funding, and if it's not, maybe you could take a look at that. 477 falls under Human Services Committee, right? Derek? So we could have them come to 477 and address that there. Just a suggestion, but that's where I would take it.
Chairman refers back to the Human Services Committee.
Okay, motion's been changed to refer to the Human Services Committee. Second still there.
Who seconded?
Sharon Lee, second at Mr. Underwoods.
Chairman, I think this is a good motion. Maybe it needs to go to like all the programs. But creating jobs, you get those stationary generators, not mobile diesel, but propane stationary, 22 of them, and then the skid steer and the track loaders. Those are 2023 top of the line equipment, man. They tell you how to drive them, They'll teach you how to drive them. So this will create 22 jobs. And Dave at GenPro would provide that technical assistance to every one of those persons to take care of that generator, propane stationary generator. So each community, those transfer cases going in are good, but they need to go into all 22 communities, the 4 manors and the 4 field clinics, and the snow removal, but that wish list is the tractor and the wheel loader for one for each district, versatile, so they can equip, you can put anything on them, on attachments. If people want to, plow up some gardens or whatever they want to do, like some of our people want to do, they'll have the means to do it at the district level. So we need to expand out to our communities and create jobs. So that's what that resolution that got that 752, but if there wasn't so much static going on, then there would have been more clarification. And that vote would have been probably 10-2 like it was on that second addendum. But that was after the smoke cleared, so it is gonna create jobs. And that's the next thing, was be buildings and salaries for these individuals. That's the next resolution. So we need to work for our communities, and I'm glad that, people are asking about high school diploma, GED, but if you have hands-on like that, you can be able to take care of that equipment and start that network, because our communities need that to see something, man, So it's a good motion, but maybe they can do more to it, District 5's, they're looking like these guys want help, man. And they've been out there with no jobs for decades. Phenomenal, Chairman.
Okay, we got a motion to refer. All in favor, raise your hand. Thirteen yes, 0 no, motion carries. Mr. Bartlett?
There was a motion by Marlon Minor, seconded by Cindy Shad to take $113,000 from Salazar account to purchase Andy Hyber's home with Litch T Homes. That'll be my motion. Motion carried.
Okay, we got a motion by Mr. Bartlett. Is there a second? Second by Mrs. Hall. But I think we still have the Salazar in place. Resolution still in place, hasn't been rescinded yet, or changed or amended. Want to wait on this one, or you want to proceed?
Chairman will refer this to the Tribal Treasurer and Budget Committee.
Mr.
Okay,
Chairman,
motion's been changed.
I have a question or point of clarification. This morning, Council Representative Haskell pointed out that this council had passed action on that Salazar, that it was no longer to be dispersed to tribal members as of per capita, and that was passed in 2023, and so
Oh, okay, so it's not a,
so it shouldn't be, like, what? Yeah. What, excuse me?
were you saying it was rescinded in 23?
Go ahead.
Ms. Haskell?
Yeah, I don't know if I was the actual motion maker, but there was a motion passed that we had given the members of the CRST 6 months or 3 months. There was a timeline on it to apply for Salazar because we were trying to get it all dispersed and people didn't want it. Like, people flat out said they weren't taking the money. So we gave them that timeline to accept the funds or to put in their applications. And then there was people that did apply, to my understanding. There were people that came out of the woodworks and got their Salazar checks. And then it was kind of at a standstill. And so after that 3 months or 6 months was done, it was just gonna sit there until we decided what we were gonna use it for. Thank you.
Mr. Bartlett?
Yeah, Chairman, just to add to discussion, Vice Chairman Walters explained to us this morning that there was still people applying for Salazar. Now, if that action took place, Ms. Haskell saying, then how is these funds still being expended when that 6 months has been expired? How is these funds still going out when that 6 months has been expired? And the Vice Chairman said he signed off on some that were still putting in for Salazar and they were receiving a payment. So how can that be happening if this 6 months has expired?
I think it was the motion, but the motion didn't take away or change the resolution. So like I stated earlier, we have to amend the resolution or rescind or so I think that's what we need to do next.
Chairman, I can pull this motion for now, and we can wait for the attorney to give us that amendment on the resolution. And council, we can't forget about Andy Hyber's approval through the district and through council. We can't just push that aside. Whether it's one member or all of our tribal members, it's a big issue for this family, the Hyber family, and they're looking forward to that new trailer that council promised them. But yeah, I'll table this for now until we get that report back, Chairman.
Okay, so we're looking at Friday for that their legal report. That should have that available at that time.
Yeah, and the ones that are living in their cars too.
Mr. Bartlett? motion's been pulled and want to continue?
Okay, there was a motion by Robin LeBeau, second by Raven Thompson, to turn the old school into a Job Corps Vo-Tech trade school. That's the old Cheyenne high school. Once we develop the new one, they're asking that we turn it into a Job Corps and Vo-Tech trade school. That'll be my motion.
Okay, motion by Mr. Bartlett. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Knife. Comments or questions? I believe that's kind of been the talk.
Yeah.
Yep, CEB. Some of you have been pushing that one, so I think that's a valid idea to do a Vo-Tech job training type of school. And I imagine that some of the parts of the school, like the kindergarten, would get demoed, like maybe the other older buildings probably get demoed. Mr. Kessler, go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman. Glad to see everybody's coming around to a grand idea that you and I had and discussed with the college last year at graduation. So welcome aboard, guys.
Okay, with that, Madam Secretary, please call for the vote.
Bryce Indowitz,
We would have been doing that years ago. Huh?
Steve Moran,
Yes.
Ted Knife Jr. Yes. John Kessler,
Yes.
Kenrick DePreez, Sharon Lee,
Yes.
Mary Miller,
Yes.
Kelsey Haskell,
Yes.
Thad Rose,
Yes.
Derek Bartlett,
Yes.
Francine Hall, Joe Brings Plenty, absent Bob Walters, Tuffy Thompson.
13 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain, 1 absent, motion carries. Mr. Bartlett.
There was a motion by Robin LeBeau, second by Marlon Minor, to set the land committee to 3 committee members for a quorum. That'll be my motion. Motion carried.
Okay, we got a motion by Mr. Bartlett. Is there a second?
Chairman, just to add, so council understands, is that there was a land committee meeting. I don't sit on land, but I know you guys had trouble getting a quorum. Even with me being there were 7 of us, and you guys are short 2. So to make it 8, so that's why the district heard about that, and they're saying that the land committee should operate with 3.
Mrs. LeBeau? Okay. Stay.
Service to your people is that when you move it to 8 members, that's already 8 of you at a committee meeting. So when you come here to debate the issue, it's already done and dealt with in the land committee because there's 8 of you there. That's problem number 1. Even Congress, all of them, their committees sit 4 to 5, no more than 4 or 5. And these guys haven't been able to consistently keep a quorum with their 8 people that are supposed to be there. So when I asked the history of this, the land director stated that it was so that she didn't have to go over the motions of what's happening in land. And also you guys were having a lot of executive resolutions that were having to happen because you couldn't get quorums and stuff. So it's really a disservice to us people. So like me, I'm waiting on an issue for now.
Mr. Knife?
There's only one time we didn't have a quorum, that was last month. But we have 14 one time on the committee. So I thought maybe we was going by how the council runs. We got 15, so 10's a quorum. So, but if you want to move it back down to 6 like it was, that's fine with me. Because we have 6 there all the time, but it's hard to get 8.
I think the Constitution says 2/3. That's where the 10 come from. You know, we need 10 for a quorum to start council, and perhaps the committee was trying to follow council as the meetings, the subordinates are supposed to be ran like council. But I think it's up to the land committee, or each committee is empowered to set their own quorum, I believe so. That's how it was in the past that I could recall. It used to be 5, and then we moved it to 4 and things like that. So, okay, there's no second so far. Second by Mr. In the Woods. Comments? Mr. Kessler, go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman. Possibly should be referred back to committee for them to restructure that. But those of you that voted to have all members on the committee, this is the result of it. So the old system seemed to work better. So next group of council reps, maybe take that into consideration before you decide to have open committees.
Okay, Madam Secretary, please call for the vote.
Bryce Cinderwoods,
Uh-huh.
Steve Moran,
Yes.
Ted Knife Jr.,
No.
John Kessler,
No.
Kenrick DePriest, Sharon Lee,
No.
Mary Miller,
No.
Kelsey Haskell,
No.
Thad Rose,
No.
Derek Bartlett,
Yes.
Francine Hall,
No.
Joe Brinksplenny, absent Bob Walters, Tuffy Thompson.
No.
Okay, it's 4 yes, 9 no, 0 abstain, 1 absent. Motion fails. Mr. Bartlett.
Chairman, there's a motion by Robin LeBeau, second by Marlon Minor, to set all committee and boards to only 3 to make a quorum. That'll be my motion.
Okay, we got a motion by Mr. Bartlett. Is there a second? Second by Mr. In the Woods. Comments or questions, council members? Madam Secretary, please call for the vote.
Chairman, the reason I'm second is because we're having a heck of a time getting 3 to the committees I chair, and then we're gonna need some new vice chairs too. So the committee gonna take care of that, or is it council? When we have to elect vice chair, it goes to the committee. And we're getting no quorum for tax. Ola Kota. And I know some of the other ones don't make quorum either.
Madam Secretary.
Bryce Cinderwoods,
Uh-huh.
Steve Moran,
Yes.
Ted Knife Jr.,
No.
John Kessler,
No.
Kenrick DePriest, Sharon Lee,
No.
Mary Miller,
No.
Kelsey Haskell,
No.
Thad Rose,
No.
Derek Bartlett,
Yes.
Francine Hall,
No.
Joe Brinksplenny, absent Bob Walters, Tuffy Thompson.
No.
Four yes, 9 no, 0 abstain, 1 absent. Motion fails. Mr. Bartlett.
There was a motion by Robin LeBeau, second by Brandon Hyber, that If a council rep has a farm pasture or a range unit, you cannot sit on the land committee due to conflict of interest. That'll be my motion. Motion carried.
Here we got a motion by Mr. Bartlett. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Underwoods. Comments or questions on the motion? Mr. Rose, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I believe a motion like this, very similar, failed earlier today. And I didn't say it at the time, but I want to say it now, that a motion like this is similar to somebody saying I shouldn't be on tribal projects because I used to do construction. Representative Brings Plenty shouldn't be on Law and Order because he used to be a law enforcement officer. Representative Haskell shouldn't be on health because she's worked in the healthcare field before. So it just, to me, it doesn't make sense to keep bringing this stuff back up because we police ourselves. If there's a conflict, we either recuse ourselves or our colleagues point that out to us, and then we have to make a decision. But we police ourselves to make the best decisions for our people. So I just wanted to point that out, that it just doesn't make sense. Thank you.
Mrs. Hall?
I tend to, well, I'm going to disagree with you on your point, and because you're talking about experience, okay? You had experience in the construction industry. All these others that you named had experience. They're bringing to the committee's experience, okay? So yeah, they should sit on those committees because our people benefit by, and this tribal council benefits by that experience that they bring so they can act on those issues. The difference here is when you are making policy on how a range unit or grazing ordinance or what pertaining to tribal land, when you're making that policy on how that is to be governed, and yet you turn around and you sit on that committee, that same committee that makes that policy, of which you, as somebody who is leasing tribal land, you're benefiting from that. That is a conflict of interest. Do you see that? Do you see that that's a conflict of interest because you're making the rules? And then you're turning around and you're getting a range unit that is, you benefit from the rules that you made. That is a direct conflict of interest. So that's why I differ from your interpretation of this. Thank you.
Mr. Underwoods?
Yeah, it is a conflict of interest due to that fact. You know, I think we have a code of ethics that says something to that effect. But because of prior actions by council and administration, actually out of compliance or, you know, violating their own oath, and it's okay to do that, you know, for years. Well, these communities you go to are in high poverty. There's tribal employees in every community, but there's also families that are living pretty rough. And that land is supposed to benefit everybody, not just, you know, at one time it was 12 council reps sitting on council and pretty corrupt. Now you hear Standing Rock talking on KLND on these illegal subcontracts. And yet here, some of you ran out the BIA superintendent because of federal employees leasing tribal land. You know, and to me, I don't think that was right. But when the OMB came, and that's when the education chair was turned over to Mary Miller, because when I got there, I thought that's where the OMB was gonna meet. And Mary told me they're meeting over at high school. So the email that all of us got, it says elected officials. And when I went into that room, I was the only elected, and then my colleague showed up. So District 1 was the only ones there. And that was Interior OMB, BIE, IHS, and BIE. And that's the first time I seen that. It's like 1 to 3 o'clock, but the treasurer or the administration wasn't there. So just to follow up with this conflict is that, what is that report that OMB's got? Did you guys get any contact yet? Because when OMB come, I'm pretty sure he wanted to talk to the administration, treasurer, chairman, and, at least the chairs of these committees, but no elected officials were there.
They wanted to meet with the school. They didn't reach out to us.
I got that email.
Yeah, so do I.
And then the OMB that was here, they were only here 1 to 3.
Okay, let's stay on topic, Mr. Underwoods.
So, we're talking about the conflict, man. You ain't doing nothing about it. It happened under your watch, too. And it's still happening under your watch. As former land chair and now as chair.
Stay on topic, Mr. Underwoods.
It is on topic.
Okay.
We're talking about conflict of interest over our treaty lands that don't belong to council reps. So what else do you understand about conflict of interest? And let the people decide, because they're going to decide here in June.
This motion's not on what you're talking about at all. It's
Land
that
committee
no
due to
council reps
conflict
sit
of
on
interest.
election committee.
You cannot sit on the land committee due to conflict of interest. Now, the District 5 don't even know about the OMB from Interior that was here, and they knew what's going on in BIA. They know what's going on. But no elected officials were there. So, I'd like to hear that report from OMB. Maybe District 5, the other districts need to know what OMB, Office of Management Budget. We were pushing for them to be here like 20 years ago, for OMB to get the tribes in on it so that we could press our budgets. But I didn't really get it clear from them being there. It's funny because they were only there 1 to 3, and then they went up to Standing Rock.
Let's stay on the motion. You can talk about OMB at a different time, Mr. Underwoods.
All right, I'll bring it up during budget then or something.
Yep, there you go.
All right.
We're District 5 minutes, and I guess the motion is council rep has a farm, pasture, or range unit. You cannot sit on the land committee due to the conflict of interest. We got a motion and a second. Madam Secretary, call for the vote.
Bryce Underwoods. Steve Moran.
Nope.
Ted Knife Jr.
No.
John Kessler.
No.
Kenrick DePriest. Sharon Lee.
No.
Mary Miller.
No.
Kelsey Haskell.
No.
Thad Rose.
No.
Derek Bartlett.
Yes.
Francine Hall.
Yes.
Joe Brinksplenny. Absent Bob Walters.
No.
Tuffy Thompson.
No.
Three yes, 10 no, 0 abstain, 1 absent. Motion fails. Mrs. Hall?
Our council representative, Thompson, stated that we police ourselves when it comes to ethics and conflict of interest issues. So when, if we come up with, to raise the rate for leasing tribal land, I would hope that you would all stick to your ethics and recuse yourself those of you who do have farm pasture and range units, when that issue comes up, to raise those rates on tribal land. Because when you vote no against it, you're actually voting against the people. That's our land that we all hold in common, and we're not getting market value for that land, and haven't been for dona years, you know. And our people have said, well, we want to give them a start, you know. This has been going on for decades. When are we going to stop subsidizing you? Anyway, I hope that you guys really do stick to your that you will recuse yourself when that issue comes up. Because the people are watching, they're listening, they are watching us. And they're watching, you know, the executives too. This is their government. Remember, they have reserved powers. Those they have not delegated to us. The people still have the power. And if they say they want those rates increased, we darn well better listen to them. Because they can vote us out of these offices as quick as our heads turn. So we have to, are we here for the people? Are we here to fatten our wallets? So if you really mean that you're going to recuse yourself and when these issues come up and it impacts you, I'm going to hold you to that. Just like all the people out there are going to hold you to that. Are you going to speak like the Washichu with forked tongue? Oh, Hechitu.
Mr. Thompson?
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to respond to Mrs. Hall. Mr. Treasurer, what year was that when we, or maybe you can, Mr. Chairman, when we raised the rates from 7 to 10? Was that 5-6 years ago? Maybe 7, 8?
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
It's about 5, 6.
Yeah, and I believe then I voted to raise them. And I think it's something that should be looked at, you know. But, you know, it's just it's a tough issue. I believe our people that do lease our land are good people. I believe they do a lot for our communities. If you look at Indian country, we're probably way above everybody else and Indian-owned cattle. So I agree with you, Mrs. Hall. It's something we look at. It is our number one resource to generate revenue. I just don't think it should be what everyone wants it to be, because when you charge way more than you're supposed to, you're gonna run your Indian operators out, and then we're gonna go back to the days where the non-Indians are gonna control our land, and they will pay you top dollar until they're the only ones left to lease it. And then they're going to come back and say, we're the only ones left to lease it, and this is what we're going to give you. And that's what it's going to be, and it's going to be less than what we're paying now. I'm very lucky that I have the opportunity to lease tribal land. It's not my land, it's everybody's land. And I'm so thankful that I have that opportunity. I pay tribal lease every year, and it's a lot of money you have to come up with every year. But I understand that's what the tribe takes to provide services for their people. And so if that time comes, Mrs. Hall, I'll just assure you, I'm in favor of the way, if it helps people, absolutely. But you can't go fair market values here, but we want this and expect our members to pay it. Let's go to land committee and let's take a look at it, and let's maybe say, hey, here's what a allotted rate is. This is what tribal rate is. Let's compromise. I'm willing to make that work, but we got to look out for the people that make that payment into the tribe every year, and we got to look out for them too, because they're tribal members. And but I agree with your statement, Mrs. Hall. If we got to raise it, we'll take a look at it and look at it. But I just want to let you know that I did vote to raise it here. Five, I can't remember when we did, 5 or 6 years ago. We bumped it up $3 an AUM, and I believe it generated a little over $1.5 million more to our general fund. So, thank you, Chairman.
Council, let's take a 5-minute break. Yeah, well, looks like we have 10 in the room, so we'll get started again. We'll call it back to order. District 5 minutes, so we'll continue with those.
I had my hand up on this one, Chairman,
Which one?
after Tuppy.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Are you back in order? Yeah? All right. I just wanted to make a comment because there's solutions to this land use. And if we sit down and really look at it good and look at the maps and come to that realization, then there'll be solutions for everybody. Right now, the way that they broke down these range units into where there's only 8 head or 20 head or even below 250, you're not going to sustain, man. That's what I told on the automatic allocation day that, none of any of you refute what I say. These range unit operations are unsustainable right now, man. You can't make it. All these small farmer ranchers around us, they all went out of business. But who took over on those guys? So if we have a solution, then Topi was saying $7 to $10, but then they turned around and moved it back to $7 again. The chairman did that, not this chairman, but. So then they put non-members down as non-Indians, which are white people that are leasing a lot of our farm pasture lands at top rate. So that top rate's going to certain people, while other range unit holders are having it pretty tough. Right now it's $2.80 an acre. When at $5 it would be, $1.20, $2.20. How much impact would that make? Because we brought a resolution in from District 1 showing council the fair market value. It was supposed to be an educational resolution. It didn't go nowhere. So there's been efforts made, but right now in the IRA Constitution, it's cooperatives shall have first preference, and this is where this body has been imposing it. And cooperatives are more like okolakichis, like our uspayas, tioshpaya. That's where our strength is, and our families, it's supposed to be the power base. And right now, with the poverty that we're facing, we can eradicate poverty here if we really look at the whole situation here. And there's a way to do it. It can be done where everybody will benefit. Even cooperatives and individuals, a lot of them probably won't be able to sustain. Sure, they'll have to be absorbed with the co-ops. They love being out there with the cows that cooperatively take care of the land under regenerative soil practices. Since the chairman mentioned that about indigenous ecological knowledge, now the regenerative soil practices is catching on. It's growing more cows, not more cows, but it's growing more plants and rotating those cows in those areas where they have a picture of regenerative soil. It looks like what that BIA guy was saying 20 years ago. It looked like a Washita standing up there, but he said on 30 years, BIA retired. You know what you guys are sitting on? The top 10% of the best forage in this country. But the way that this operation is going with livestock, 1 acre had 130, 140 plant species. Now it's down to 30 or 40 plant species. So regenerative soil practices will bring that back up. And the bonuses that would be involved would be the same as you added more cows to that unit. But nobody's hearing that yet, and better catch on real quick. Because we have to have land reform here in order for everybody to benefit. And that finger points back at this body because you're supporting a failed system. When I asked anybody to refute me, nobody did. Individually, you're bankrupt. That's why you want automatic allocation, because you want to get out of bankruptcy. Am I right or wrong? Cooperatively, you'll make it through anything because you're doing it together as communities and families. That's who we are. The allotment ended, individual ended. That was forced on us. But we have to go back to that guy said, we got to build this land back up to 130, 140 plants. What is that going to take? You know, it's going to take a lot. Like my father worked on the Civilian Conservation Corps back in 1930 to 39. When that Dust Bowl was here, it was because of white guys farming, tilling up all the land. And that dust blew away, like what I witnessed down there when we did that tour at Flandreau of their medical laboratory and their still hydroponic greenhouses. It was a big old, it looked like the 30s, that dust was coming. There's a big tornado hit too. I headed out then, but it was coming from Sioux Falls towards Flandreau, and that, it looked like the 30s dust storm, because all those fields were planted. Dug up. So if we look at regenerative soil plant, let's look at that hemp right now. Three Rivers Farms with the buffalo, that's a good mixture. That's regenerative soil practices. 3 years without spraying, you can go organic. That's the way to go. Get away from the pesticides that are creating POP, they call it, persistent organic pollutants. That's what's hurting babies and pregnant women. Now it's doing that to water. So if we don't have that mini Wichoni in our heart and we don't think Lakota too, because some of you guys just think like white guys, man, you know, because that's all you speak. What can I say? You have to start thinking about all of us collectively, not
we
just
got,
you.
Got more motions coming up, District 5 minutes, so we're gonna go back to the report now.
At $2.80 to $5, you can start from there, Topi.
Okay. You guys can visit anytime. Mr. Thompson can give his number to Mr. In the Woods. Mr. Bartlett, go ahead.
You don't listen, Chairman.
Okay, there's a motion by Robin LeBeau, seconded by Brandon Hybrid, that no council reps sit on the election committee and to develop an election commission immediately. Chairman, I'll make a motion to refer to budget committee and to legal to draft up procedures policy. So the district's not wanting any council reps to sit on the election committee. They're also discussing conflict of interest and the buddy system and things like that. So another idea I came up was Rosebud Sioux Tribe has their own election commission, their own election board, paid by the tribe. It's not consisting of council reps sitting on their election committee. So that'll be my motion.
Okay, there's a motion by Mr. Bartlett. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Walters. Motions to refer to the budget and also to refer to the legal department to draft the papers. All in favor, raise your hand. 6 yes, opposed. 3 opposed, 3 not voting. Motion fails. 6 yes, 3 no, 3 abstain. Motion fails. We need a majority vote. Mr. Bartlett, please continue.
Okay, there was a motion by Robin LeBeau, second by Brandon Hybert, to drug test all applicants for range units and farm pastures and have them pay for their own drug test for law enforcement or certified drug testing facility, and the consequences that they will lose their range unit or farm pasture. That'll be my motion. A motion carried.
Okay, we got a motion by Mr. Bartlett. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Thompson. You have comments? Good.
Mr. Chairman, I think it's a great idea, but like I said, we're singling out one deal. Let's make everybody drug tests that works or deals with the tribe. Let's generate some revenue off of this. Let's make them tribal employees, BIA employees, IHS employees, tribal range units, everyone, our attorneys, our contract attorneys. Let's make everybody drug tests. And let's generate revenue off of it. Thank you, Chairman.
Chairman,
Ms.,
second still there?
Yep.
Ms.
Mrs. Lee?
Thank you, Chairman LeBeau. I thought we passed this already, and didn't we refer it to, I thought the Land Policy Committee last year or so? I'm not sure what happened there, but I agree with Mr. Thompson. Let's drug test everyone then. Everyone, every single, we're supposed to be drug testing tribal employees anyway, but let's test for meth too. And let's
Can
do it
amend
to
district
everybody.
motions.
Everybody, and have everyone pay for their own test, and then the tribe won't have to be footing the bill, because we always say, we don't have the money to drug test everyone, but I think we should. The district officers, all these people on these boards, I mean, everyone. We generate some money. Thank you.
Mr. Thompson
And
Mr.
Chairman,
Bartlett.
I left off the most important people, us as elected officials. Let us set the example and get tested. Thank you.
Mr. Bartlett?
Yeah, Chairman, the idea of this action is that this was already referred to Land Committee, and understand my colleagues are agitated or upset about this, but it's mainly pertaining. It's not saying do drastic measures like that, because it costs money for these drug tests, and so that's why they discussed it at the district, and they said the range unit holders should do their own drug test, because they do have applicants now. When you apply for certain positions, you have to do your own drug tests, such as the tribal council. We pay for our own drug tests, and so that's kind of been practice. It started somewhere where the tribe put that bill on the people that are wanting to further their education or wanting to work for the tribe or work for a department. So the idea of this is not to take it in that direction. The idea is that we can't even get our teenagers, majority of them, to pass a drug test at Lakota Thrifty Mart because of marijuana. So if that individual is trying, and marijuana has kind of been a fad since the 70s, and it's almost legal here in Cheyenne River, and some of my colleagues are probably smoked up before they attended this session. So I'm just saying that it's kind of being practiced right here at Tribal Council. So I'm just saying that that wasn't the idea. The idea is that these teenagers can't even get a $12 or $11 an hour job as a carryout or a cashier at our local C-stores or Lakota Thrifty Mart, like that. So they said, well, if these range unit holders are getting big bucks, as soon as they get a unit, they can go to a bank and get a $100,000 loan. They should be doing a drug test. And if those family members know their kids or grandkids are doing drugs, that family member, that Unchi or Lala that has that unit will be taken. So, the poorest of the poor is being affected with this, and the rich are sitting back, and there's no consequences of a unit being taken for a drug test failure or a positive on a drug test. So that's why this came up. It wasn't to make it so drastic. It's just mainly our poorest of the poor is struggling, and they can't get jobs here because of a failed marijuana test. So I guess my question is to Mr. Rose. I know Mr. Rose, I know one time you stated that the land committee or one of these committees are working on it. This might have been like 4 months ago. I asked that question and you said they're working on it, so it's legal. And Kimberly, I don't know if she's here, but I kind of want to know where we're at with that drug test policy for the range unit holders. And if that's in there, that they have to pay for their own drug test. I haven't seen anything besides the last report Mr. Rose gave us like maybe 4 months ago. You remember that?
Can I respond, Mr. Chairman? So you came to land committee and asked about that, and it was referred to land policy. When we had our land policy meeting, I didn't think about that at that time. There was some other matters that we brought up on the easements. There's a lot of discussion on that, and we passed that resolution last week, and that was a important matter for our people. But the one amendment that I suggested after we got done with that for our ordinance 71 and 78 was actually some verbatim out of ordinance 81, our home site ordinance, that had to deal with if you're convicted in any court system of distributing narcotics, that you would lose your home site. That was already verbatim in there, but I wanted that input into ordinance 71. And at the other members of the policy meeting's recommendation, we said we should put it into 78. Fentanyl is one of the drugs in there in ordinance 81 for the home site ordinance. So the other two ordinances, 71 and 78, would also have the fentanyl. I emailed those amendments after we passed the motions in the land policy to our Attorney General Craven, and she's made those amendments. And I can read you the verbatim if you'd want, but it doesn't directly address the question you're asking right now. I'm just informing you on the amendments to the ordinance that we worked on that day. And we need to review those as a land committee, and then they go out for public comment, and then we would ratify as a council.
All right, thank you, Mr. Rose. Chairman, I'll refer this to land committee again. This has been referred there a couple years ago, and that's the conflict that's happening at the land committee. You know, these guys are range unit holders, sit on a land committee. It's your job to develop these, not for us that don't sit on a land committee, but you guys should be developing that. You guys sit on that committee, and these are laws that the tribe wants. You know, District 5 wants it. So can you guys work on that? Land committee chair, is that buddy? Can you guys work on that and get that done before next session? You might have to send it out for 30 days, but you guys had 2 years. So Chairman, motion to refer to land committee and to have them develop policy immediately. That's my motion.
Okay, motion's been amended to refer to land committee. Second still there by Mr. Thompson. Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Bartlett. Great motion, but can I ask you to also refer a drug policy to be drafted at claims and legislation for all tribal programs, elected officials, so we could get the ball rolling, because this is a way to create some revenue, and I think it's a good thing. I support it 100%. I just think if we're gonna do it, we should make everyone have to do a drug test that deals with our tribe. I think we're gonna have to, we approved the marijuana deal, so you're gonna have to tweak that a little bit, however you're gonna do it, but I support it. I support range unit holders, but I also support us as elected officials, tribal employees, anyone that works within our boundaries. We should have that right to drug test them. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. I'm just gonna leave the motion as is. Yeah, Tuffy, yeah, we just don't wanna get off track. The motion is just direct for the range unit and that part of it. You know, the kids and teenagers that apply our LTM, they already have to do this. There's already a process and policy there for them, so they can't get their foot in the door, but you guys have your foot in the door, and the tribe's just asking that the range unit holders, you know, be part of that drug testing, because you guys can go and make $100,000 loan versus a teenager that can't even get an $11 an hour job and probably only temporary 3 days out of the week. So you should kind of know the differences. If you don't, then try to remember your guys' childhood growing up here on the reservation. And I don't know, maybe some of you, had a good life as a child, but some of us remember those days when, the struggles are there and you're waking up in the backseat of the car or your parents are drinking and, all that good stuff going on reservation life. So I think we need to work on this. There's no excuses. This has been there with the range units. A law needs to be drafted. And the kids are already having to take those drug tests, get their first job, so we don't need to get too out of hand with this. And
Okay, we got a motion and a second to refer to the committee, land committee. All in favor, raise your hand. Twelve yes, one not voting, motion carries. Mr. Bartlett?
there's a motion by Robin LeBeau, second by Brandon Hyber, to amend the drug testing policy due to decriminalization of marijuana and legality of it. That'll be my motion. That motion carried.
Okay, we got a motion motion by Mr. Bartlett. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Kessler. Comments or questions?
Comment, Chairman. Will this be referred to AG to put in a personal policy procedure manual or what? Because you got hemp, recreational, and medicinal all have THC in them.
Yep.
So if you're taking medicinal and you're employed, then that has to be factored in there, the hemp. Because right away it'd be saying recreational, but that's legal now too. So would that go into the manual regarding employees?
Yep.
Would that be a way to refer to the AG to develop that amendment to the policy?
You want to refer it, Mr. Bartlett, to Attorney General?
Yeah, refer to Attorney General and claims, correct?
Okay. Motions to refer to claims and Attorney General. Second still there. Mr. Kessler. Okay. All in favor, raise your hand. At 13 yes, 0 no, motion carries. Mr. Bartlett, go ahead.
There was a motion by Joseph Whiteeye, second by Brandon Hyber, to reaffirm District 1, 5, and 6's motion to cancel I'm supposed to say KLJ, contracts with the tribe. Motion carried to be my motion.
Okay, we got a motion by Mr. Bartlett. Is there a second? Okay, we got a second by Mr. Walters. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I can say I understand where the motion is coming from, but how much contracts do we have with KLJ? And what is it gonna take to get out from underneath KLJ? How many thousands of dollars is it gonna cost us to get out from underneath KLJ? I do understand the motion, but we have a lot of contracts with them right now.
Council, any more comments on this motion? We got a motion by Mr. Bartlett, second by Mr. Walters. Ms. Lee, go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman LeBeau. How many, did we vote on this already? I mean, are we just gonna vote on the same motion month after month? Yeah, that's my question.
Motion to reconsider, Chairman.
Okay, motion's been changed to reconsider due to that it failed previously. Second still there, but you still want to second that?
No.
No? Okay.
On comment.
Need a second to continue? Motion's out of order due to no second. Mr. Bartlett, you want to continue?
Okay, there's a motion by Paul May Hyber, second by Robin LeBeau, to have District 5 create its own cemetery. Make a motion to refer it to Land and Tribal Projects Committee. That motion carried.
Okay, we got a motion by Mr. Bartlett, second by Mr. Walters to refer to the Land and Tribal Projects Committee.
Quick
Go
discussion,
ahead.
Mr. Chairman. I thought we already set aside some land for a cemetery on the other side of the Eagle Butte Cemetery or someplace like that. I thought we already set aside 40 acres or something like that to build a cemetery for a tribal cemetery.
I think that was for just Eagle Butte community, and then District 5 wants their own, is what I understand.
Chairman, that's why I'm referring it to Land Committee and Tribal Projects Committee. They could work on it.
I got my second, sir.
Okay, motions to refer, all in favor, raise your hand. Twelve yes, one not voting, or one opposed. Motion carries.
We're gonna have a veteran cemetery coming up around that, on the roads turn off, that repatriation, that's where that veteran cemetery is gonna be at.
And there's already 100
Projects
acres.
and land. Mr. Barley, you want to continue?
Motion by Paula May Hyber, second by Brandon Hyber to have every adult from the districts to take care of the cemetery and to use $275,000 that was assigned to the Culture Preservation Office from the Tetra funds. Motion to refer to administration and culture preservation.
Okay, we got a motion by Mr. Bartlett to refer to administration and culture preservation. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Walters. Comments? Go ahead, Mr. Bartlett.
Chairman, is that going to be Steve Vance? Is he operating the culture preservation?
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Indowitz?
Yeah, we should see what that amount is, because he was supposed to hire 2 individuals. I think he only has 1 for that grave maintenance.
Okay.
But there's only 1, I think. Pretty short staff.
Yeah. Okay, all in favor, raise your hand. Got 9 yes, opposed. 1 opposed, 3 not voting. Motion carries. Mr. Bartlett?
Motion by Paula May Hyber and second by Andy Hyber to get tombstones for the chiefs, and Paula May Hyber will provide a list of names from families who want tombstones. That motion did carry. That'll be my motion. Motion to refer to Tribal Projects Committee.
Okay, we got a motion by Mr. Bartlett to refer to the Tribal Projects Committee. Is there a second?
That's where our last time, Mr. Chairman. Culture preservation, put those internet stones out.
You want to include the culture preservations in that, Mr. Bartlett?
Yes.
Okay, motion's been amended. I need a second for this referral. Second by Mr. Indowitz. All in favor, raise your hand. Twelve yes, 1 not voting. Motion carries. Mr. Bartlett?
There's a motion by Paula May Hyber, seconded by Andy Hyber to have the roads department sweep the roads 2 times a month. That'll be my motion.
I want to refer that to administration. I'll take care of that one, Mr. Bartlett.
Okay, motion referred to administration.
Okay, we got a motion by Mr. Bartlett, second by Mr. Walters. Refer to administration. All in favor, raise your hand. Twelve yes, 1 not voting. Motion carries. Mr. Bartlett?
Just to add to that last motion is that we have 2 or 3 street sweepers over there at the roads facility, and the district's wanting these roads cleaned up with all that sand and rocks and pebbles that could be swept up and put into these potholes and people's driveways, and the more that sits on the road, the more it damages the roads with the rain and the water. So that was discussion on that. There's a motion by Robin LeBeau, second by Brandon Hybert, to get Antonio Adams, non-member, excluded from the CRST immediately, and Ms. LeBeau is here to explain that. Get the floor for Ms. LeBeau and Chairman. Motion to go into executive.
Okay, we got a motion for executive session by Mr. Bartlett, second by Mr. Walters. All in favor, raise your hand. We got 9 yes, 2 not voting, 10 yes, 2 not voting. Motion carries. We're going to executive session at this time. Tribal Council, general public.